So, Bismillah, walhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillahi al-mab'uth rahmatan lil alamin. I just wanted to review this piece initially to remind us of the framework that we began with in the study of this text, and we got to the point of the prostration of forgetfulness. But here, the Sheikh, he says, realize and may Allah give us and you success in what He loves and in what pleases Him, that the prayer is divided into three parts: words, actions, and that which is neither words nor actions. And for words, they include every movement of the tongue, such as saying the takbir, Allahu Akbar, saying tahmid, which is saying Alhamdulillah, and the salam. As for actions, they include every movement of the body, such as the ruku', the bowing, the prostration, or the sujud, and the julus, the sitting. As for that which is neither words nor actions, it's like facing the qibla, the proper time of the prayer, the intention, the place of the prayer. These things are part of the prayer or related to them, right? So then he comes back, and we covered this before multiple times, but I just wanted to remind us. He says, then realize also that all of the words of the prayer are sunnah or sunan, except for three: the takbir, the initial takbir only, the first takbir only, the recitation of al-Fatiha, and the salam, words, right? In that regard, all actions of the prayer are obligatory except for three: raising the hands for the takbir, that's not an obligation. The middle sitting is not an obligation. Turning the head slightly to the right during the final salam is not an obligation. So here, all the words of the prayer are sunnah, except for. We come to the section we dropped off here. من تكلم ساهيا ساجد بعد السلام. So here is talking about the person that says something absent-mindedly, right? In the salah. That's why I introduced back the framework of the salah is composed of actions, the salah is composed of words, and that which does not fit into one of those two categories. And here we come back to the point of the whole concept of words. So if someone says something, we know that speech in the salah is that which is classified into being obligatory, that which is obligatory, and that which is from the sunnah. So if someone says something after this, someone says something absent-mindedly in the salah, they're adding on to the salah in terms of words. That's one of the reasons why here it says that, and he who says something absent-mindedly should perform the prostration of forgetfulness after the salam, after the salam. Because the prostration of forgetfulness in the madhab is broken up to that which comes before the salam and that which comes after the salam. So when there's an addition that is made to the salah, and in this case, there's an addition that's made of words, right? Then that comes after the salam, right? That comes after the salam. And as mentioned before, if a person performs, if a person forgets to perform an action, that means there's a deficiency in the salah. So the Sajda Sahu comes before the salam. If a person forgets to perform an action, and if a person adds something, the Sajda Sahu comes before the salam because it's based on the deficiency. The deficiency has more weight in this regard. So you can add something, you can be deficient in something, or you can be deficient and add something together. So any deficiency, whether it's by itself or whether it's accompanied by an addition, it's done before the prostration of forgetfulness is done before the salam in that case to cover those problems that come up in the salah. So he says, "Man sallama min rak'atayn sahiyan sajada ba'da salam." Right? So whoever says assalamu alaikum after 2 rak'ats instead of 4, the salah that, right at that point didn't come to an end. He made a mistake, she made a mistake. So what that person should do, they didn't do it intentionally, right? So they did it absent-mindedly. The person should prostrate after the salam. After he stands up again, makes the takbir, says Allahu Akbar, and completes what he omitted. Does the conceptualization of that, is that clear? Say, for instance, if you're praying dhuhr, and after the second rak'ah, you say assalamu alaikum without thinking about it. So here, he says the sajda al-Sahw, it comes after the salam. After he stands up, he makes the takbir, and he completes what he omitted. Is that clear or not clear?
Yes.
Resto, is that clear?
So real quickly, so you're saying the mistake was made, right? And then you come back up after you did the Sajda Saha, and then you fix what you finish off what you had, and then it's over with. So many words. Am I right
Yeah.
or wrong?
The thing that comes up here is that in reality, by yourself, that works. But when you're in the jama'ah, say if you're in the community and you're praying, they're going to say subhanallah, right? So completing, like, if you make the salam, you stand up, you add the 2 rak'at, and then after you make that salam, you make the sajda sahw. That works to evade confusion. That works to evade confusion. Right.
I got you.
Is that clear or not clear?
Yes.
I wondered, what if, okay, so we're talking about if somebody unnecessarily speaks absentmindedly, what if your
No,
gaze gets diverted?
no, that's not what we're talking about. That was in the other example.
Okay.
That was in the first example. The gaze, there's no issue in that.
Okay.
But the first example was the one about the speech.
Mm-hmm.
Now this example is not just something said absent-mindedly, but this example is that you salammed out.
And then you remember.
And then you remember what?
That you missed an obligation or a sunnah.
No. Rest of what example is that that's being
The,
given?
the if the prayer is four raka, it's four, and we only complete two, but we salam out of the two, that we'll stand back up, complete the two, and then do the Sajda Saha.
Okay. In regards to a congregation or
I believe what he said was that if by yourself you could do the Sajda Saha right after you salammed out on the one, and then come back up and omit what you missed, but it would be a burden for others to try to follow you in that manner. So it's just good to just complete the whole situation,
Yeah,
come back with the Sajda Saha.
the reality is here the translation looks off. The translation is off because when I went back to the Arabic, it's like what I was saying for the congregation. So after the person he remembers right away, right? In this case, he remembers right away. He performs the parts of the salat that he missed. Okay, I'll say it again. This is the case of the person who salams out after two rak'ats, like say in the case of the person that's supposed to be praying dhuhr. So this person goes to pray dhuhr, initiates the salah properly, reaches two rak'ats, and while that person is sitting, they salam out instead of performing four rak'ats.
mm-hmm.
They remember immediately. So the way that this is written is problematic, because it's the way that it's written in the translation is problematic. How the scenario reads is that if the person remembers immediately in the actual Arabic version of al-Akhdari, if the person remembers immediately, then they make the two other rak'at, right? Then they make the two other rak'at. Then after the salam, they make the prostration of forgetfulness. The more that I deal with this translation and this text and the other translations, the more frustrated I get because I realize how it is that there's confusion.
Yeah.
You can't totally rely on it. Um, and possibly looks like the explanation of Ibn Ashar is the most reliable Maliki fiqh text that we have in English, along with maybe the Risala uh, of Abi Zayd that's translated by Aisha Bewley, but the most thorough as far as commentary and everything is dense. It's like it looks like it looks like a Bible, like a really thick Bible.
What's the name of that of the book you're talking about? I think I've seen it.
Amal Ahl
The the
Medina.
the yeah, the school of Medina. Yeah. The people of Medina. Yes. I seen it. It's out of Diwan.
Yeah.
They the one who. Okay, yeah.
Some things in there are like, to be honest with you, they raise the eyebrow, the with regard to certain things that are said. But overall, it's not a basic text. Islam in the School of Medina. Yeah.
That's the Aisha Bewley one?
No, that one is translated by Asadullah Yate, Dr.
Okay,
Asadullah.
thank you.
And the thing about Ibn Ashar is that you don't have to worry about the weak opinions and all that. Is that al-Akhdari, as we mentioned, is one of the best books in this topic here, this specific topic that we're dealing with. It's the most thorough. Um, that doesn't mean that there's no. It doesn't mean that there's no other books that surpass it. There's contemporary works that are probably a little more thorough, have corrected some issues in it, but in general, from the traditional text, and I mentioned that a number of times, the Akhdari in this regard, Sajda Sahu, it's one of the best worked out. And then it gives you all these scenarios, right? It gives you these scenarios. And like we mentioned, any addition that is added to the salah, the person they make sajda sahu after the salam. من زاد في الصلاة ركعة أو ركعتين سجد بعد السلام. Right? The translation is good, it's good to learn Arabic, but as far as teaching, it kind of loses its flow. ومن زاد في الصلاة مثلها بطلت. So if you if you pray, for instance, Fajr, instead of 2 rakats, you pray 4 rakats. Um, the claim of al-Akhdari here is that it's invalid. If you pray Dhuhr 4 rakats and then you add on another 4 rakats, the claim that it's invalid. But there's one opinion that says that it doesn't invalidate it. You just correct it with Sajda Sahu, right? And that's the position that is relied upon. So there's some, like, for instance, one thing that we discovered here is that even when it comes, remember when we talked about the problem of Sajda Sahu being an obligation or not an obligation, it
Mm-hmm.
being sunnah, right? But then at the same time, there's the idea that in the case of Sajda Sahu not being performed, wherein the salah is deficient, that the salah is invalid. So that
Yeah,
by extension means what? What does that mean then?
that the Sajda Sahu is an obligation.
Right.
Obligation, yeah.
So that's where it's necessary to go to the commentaries to kind of flush this stuff out. That's why, in this process, kind of we're just like studying the text, to really, we're studying the text. It really requires another reading.
Yeah,
It does require another reading because what we're doing is we're just decoding the text. And there's things that we're encountering in the text like that, the way that Sajda Saha was being framed out, which is somewhat questionable because the madhab itself, there's debates about this stuff, right? Meaning when we say the madhab itself, meaning that the scholars within the madhab have had a conversation on these topics, and as a group, they come to a conclusion on the issue. You can have an individual scholar that is Maliki or any other madhab for that matter. He can be in the Hanafi school, he can be in the Hanbali school, in the Shafi'i school, and within those schools, he can have his own opinions. But it does not necessarily represent the position of the madhab as a whole, right? And so there's some things that he says here, like this issue, that's not the position of the madhab. Especially this, because that goes against the whole concept of Sajda Sahw. But there's a rationale. There's a probably rationale that he has, like that is a state of mind which is signifying almost complete absent-mindedness. In addition to that, the actions are there's so much that has been added to the salat that the salat doesn't even look the way that is supposed to be modeled. It's not just like a minor, it's not like, a minor amount of additions to the salat. It's so much so that someone may ask, what just happened there? Like,
Right.
if someone prays 4 rakat in a time of Fajr, a person is not going to know that they're praying Fajr. If someone plays 8 rakat for Dhuhr, a person is going to be confused on that regard as to what it is that's happening there, right? So that's my speculation. There could be some rationale like that. But it's not clear 100%. That's why I like the Hanafis. They say they have a statement, al-amal al-kathir, too much action, right? They immediately have this as a category for disrupting the salah, al-amal al-kathir, right? Because it changes it from its form, and here it's just used as uh here what's being said or spoken to in the explanation is an abundance of action, right? An abundance of movement is characterized as a problem. But it can be corrected with Sajda Sahu. And there's a beauty to that. Like we mentioned before, the beauty to that is that um, your good deeds are not invalidated, as the Quran points to in so many different ways. That good deeds have value with Allah Ta'ala. And that the human being is given a chance and recognized for good action. You know what I'm saying? That's the beauty. It's a beautiful teaching from the angle of Islam. That our worship is not just invalidated and cast aside, and our good deeds just because we make mistakes. We'll stop here because the next section deals with doubt. Right? The next
Like
section,
you doubted whether you did something or not.
yeah, whoever has
Okay.
doubt with regard to the completion of the salah. Right. Let me mark that here.
Fine for last week.
And I
Does
think we should.
anybody want to
I think that we should pause here,
Okay.
and then and switch into Ramadan mode.
Yes, I need help with that.
All right.